The quantum transport beam shimmered and faded, leaving Zixtal standing in Earth's afternoon sunlight. Their crystalline form cast rainbow patterns across the polished floor of International Xenobiology University's reception hall. Looking down at their orientation packet, they adjusted their universal translator, which hung like a delicate pendant around their neck. "Welcome to Earth, Student Zixtal," a friendly holographic assistant materialized beside them. "Your luggage has been transported to your assigned dormitory in Building C. Would you like directions?" Zixtal's external facets rippled with excitement, sending tiny sparkles dancing across the walls. Yes, please. They had practiced human speech patterns for months before arriving, though their voice still carried a slight chiming undertone characteristic of their species. Following the hologram's guidance, they made their way across the campus grounds. Other students, both human and alien, hurried past, carrying everything from traditional tablets to exotic sensing equipment. A group of gaseous beings floated by in their containment spheres, engaged in what appeared to be an animated discussion about quantum physics. Building C stood 5 stories tall, its windows treated with special filters to accommodate the various light sensitivity needs of different species. Zixtal's silicon-based body tingled with anticipation as they approached room 427. They had never shared living quarters with a human before. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a spacious room divided into 2 distinct areas. The left side featured standard human furnishings, a bed with soft coverings, a desk, and storage units. The right side was equipped with a crystalline growth platform, a thoughtful accommodation for Zixtal's natural resting state. "Hello," a warm voice called out. "You must be Zixtal." Their new roommate emerged from the small food preparation area, wearing what the orientation materials had called a university hoodie. Sarah Chen smiled, her dark hair pulled back in a practical style, and her brown eyes showing genuine warmth. Zixtal's sensors went into overdrive, automatically analyzing this first close encounter with their human roommate. Their species had evolved from silicon-based life forms on Rigel VI, developing crystalline bodies that grew through mineral absorption rather than organic consumption. Sarah's soft exterior fascinated them. It seemed to shift and move with every gesture. "Your epidermis is remarkably flexible," Zixtal observed, then quickly added, "I apologize if that observation was inappropriate. Our cultural integration course emphasized the importance of proper greetings first." Sarah laughed, the sound reminding Zixtal of wind chimes. "No worries. You're here to learn about humans, right? And I'm here to learn about Regilians. I've never met anyone with a crystalline structure before. You're absolutely beautiful." Zixtal's outer layer flushed with a pale rose tint, their equivalent of a blush. "Thank you. Your biological structure is equally fascinating. I have so many questions about how humans maintain structural integrity without a mineral-based exterior." "Well," Sarah grinned, pulling out 2 chairs from their shared study table. "Why don't we start with those questions? I brought snacks. Though I guess you probably don't eat organic matter, do you?" "No, but I would be interested in observing your consumption process," Zixtal replied, settling carefully onto the reinforced chair designed for heavier crystalline species. "I brought some mineral supplements if you would like to observe my absorption process in return." Sarah's eyes lit up with scientific curiosity. "That would be amazing. First day of xenobiology studies, and we're already doing practical observations." As they settled into their first conversation, Zixtal felt their initial nervousness dissolving. Perhaps this cultural exchange would be more fascinating than they had imagined. They just hoped they could avoid any major social mistakes while learning about their soft-bodied roommate's strange and wonderful biology. 3 weeks into the semester, Zixtal sat at their study station, surrounded by holographic displays showing complex xenobiological equations. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of their crystalline form processing minerals and Sarah's gentle breathing as she slept. Their concentration broke when their sensors detected something unusual, microscopic particles drifting through the air. Zixtal's facets shifted to enhance their visual acuity, tracking the strange fragment's descent. The particles seemed to be coming from Sarah. Analyzing composition, they whispered to their personal data recorder. The results made their crystalline heart pulse with alarm. The particles contained human DNA. They were pieces of Sarah. Zixtal watched in horror as their roommate rolled over in her sleep, releasing another small cloud of tiny fragments. Their sensors indicated these were identical to the previous samples, definitely parts of Sarah's outer layer slowly breaking away. Computer, access xenobiology database. They subvocalized through their translator. Query, human exterioral degradation. The results were frustratingly vague. While there were many articles about human biology, none specifically addressed why humans might be slowly disintegrating. Zixtal's concern grew as they initiated a broader scan of their living space. The results were worse than expected. Their sensors detected these human fragments everywhere, on Sarah's bed, embedded in her desk chair, even collecting in the corners of the room. How had they not noticed this before? Morning arrived, and Sarah woke up, seemingly unconcerned about her continuing deterioration. Zixtal watched anxiously as she prepared for class, trying to detect any signs of distress or awareness of her condition. "You're pretty quiet this morning," Sarah noted, pulling her hair into a ponytail. "Everything okay?" Zixtal's exterior rippled with uncertainty. Should they mention it? What if humans considered it taboo to discuss their gradual disintegration? The cultural sensitivity training hadn't covered this scenario. "I am processing new observational data," they replied carefully. "Sarah, may I ask you a potentially sensitive question about human biology?" "Of course." Sarah smiled, dropping into her desk chair. More particles fell from her arm as she moved, and Zixtal's sensors pinged in alarm. But before they could voice their concern, their attention was drawn to movement in the hallway. Through the transparent door panel, they spotted Blixter, a gelatinous student from Proxima Centauri, apparently shedding distressed pheromones while watching the human professor walk by. Perhaps, later, Zixtal decided. If this was happening to all humans, they needed more data before raising alarm. "We should proceed to Xenobiology Lab." Throughout the day, Zixtal's sensors remained tuned to maximum sensitivity. They noticed the same phenomenon around every human they encountered. The library, covered in human particles. The cafeteria. Their scans revealed a disturbing amount of human fragments mixed with the ambient dust. During lab, they secretly diverted their assigned microscope to analyze a sample collected from their shared room. The magnified view confirmed their fears. These were definitely pieces of human exterior. That evening, Zixtal contacted their parent crystal back on Rigel VI, being careful to encrypt the transmission. "Creator, I have observed something concerning." They transmitted. "The humans, they're coming apart. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, but I've documented it with my sensors. They seem to be carrying on as if nothing is wrong, but I calculate that at this rate." They paused, running the numbers again. "I need guidance. Should I alert Earth authorities?" The response came back, "Gather more data. Observe. Document everything. If this is what we think it is, the implications for interspecies relations could be significant." Zixtal looked over at Sarah, who was happily solving quantum equations, completely unaware of her ongoing cellular dispersal. They made a silent vow to find out what was happening to their friend, and all of humanity, before it was too late. Zixtal transformed their corner of the Xenobiology Lab into an impromptu research station, carefully arranging their collected samples. Their crystalline form hummed with focused energy as they adjusted the molecular scanner settings. "Your findings are deeply troubling," whispered Anxba, a bioluminescent student from the Andromeda Galaxy. Their tentacles glowed with concerned pulses of blue light as they examined Zixtal's data. "I've noticed similar particles around my human lab partner." The impromptu research team had grown to include 5 alien students, each bringing unique sensory capabilities to the investigation. Blixter's gelatinous form could detect microscopic changes in air composition, while the twins from Sirius B, Pell and Tell, contributed their quantum probability analysis. Look at this temporal mapping. Zixtal displayed a holographic model showing the rate of human particle dispersion. I've been tracking Sarah's measurements. According to my calculations, she's lost approximately 0.87% of her outer layer mass in just the past week. The assembled aliens emitted various sounds of distress in their native frequencies. Pell's crystalline antennae vibrated with anxiety, but they show no signs of pain or distress. That's what concerns me most. Zixtal adjusted their universal translator. Either humans are unaware of their condition, or they're displaying remarkable stoicism in the face of cellular deterioration. A soft chime announced the arrival of Kest, a gaseous entity who taught advanced xenophysics. They swirled thoughtfully in their containment sphere, examining the collected data. Your research methodology is impressive. Students, have you considered consulting the human medical database? Access is restricted. HFY's bioluminescence dimmed. Something about patient confidentiality protocols. Zixtal projected their latest scan results. But observe this pattern. The dispersion rate increases when humans engage in physical activity or experience temperature variations. Yesterday, Sarah returned from their physical training session, and my sensors detected a 47% increase in particle shedding. The lab door whooshed open, causing the alien students to quickly minimize their holographic displays. Sarah walked in, smiling and completely unaware of the concerned eyes tracking her movement, and the microscopic trail she left behind. Hey, Zixtal. Ready for the molecular biology presentation? She approached their research station, causing everyone's sensors to go into overdrive. Yes, certainly. Zixtal managed, while discreetly activating their highest resolution scanning mode. Sarah, have you been feeling structurally sound lately? What do you mean? Sarah tilted her head, releasing another small cloud of particles that only the aliens could detect. Your general cohesion levels. Zixtal's crystals chimed nervously. I'm fine, Sarah laughed. You've been acting strange lately. Is everything okay? Before Zixtal could respond, Pell and Tell simultaneously detected a quantum anomaly. A human student across the lab had just scratched their arm, releasing an unprecedented burst of particles. We need to expand our investigation, Zixtal decided after Sarah left. Kest, could you authorize us to use the advanced molecular imaging chamber? The gaseous professor swirled thoughtfully. This situation does warrant deeper investigation. But remember your ethical protocols. Observe only, no direct interference until we understand the full scope of the phenomenon. The team spent the next several hours documenting cases across campus. HFY's bioluminescent mapping revealed human particle concentrations in every building. Blixter's analysis confirmed the particles were appearing at an alarming rate in all human-occupied spaces. As they compiled their findings, Zixtal felt their crystalline core pulse with determination. They had to find a way to help their human friends before this mysterious deterioration progressed further. The question was, how do you save a species that doesn't even realize it's coming apart? Their answer came from an unexpected source: the university's upcoming Xenobiology Symposium. It would be the perfect platform to present their findings and finally alert the human scientific community to this crisis. They just hoped they weren't too late. The university's grand auditorium buzzed with excitement as students and faculty from across the galaxy filed in for the annual Xenobiology Symposium. Zixtal stood backstage, their crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy as they reviewed their presentation one final time. Your holographic displays are calibrated perfectly, HFY assured them, their tentacles glowing a supportive shade of green. The particle tracking visualization is especially compelling. The research team had spent 3 sleepless cycles preparing for this moment. Blixter had refined their atmospheric analysis to show real-time particle dispersion, while the Syrian twins had calculated probability matrices for various intervention scenarios. Sarah sat in the front row, still unaware that she was about to become the center of a galactic revelation. Zixtal's core ached with concern for their friend, but they knew this was necessary. Distinguished colleagues, the symposium director's voice echoed through the hall. Our next presentation comes from a group of first-year students who claim to have made a remarkable discovery about human biology. Zixtal glided onto the stage, their exterior catching the spotlight and sending rainbow refractions across the audience. They activated their universal translator and began. Esteemed members of the xenobiological community, what I am about to share may shock you. They projected their first hologram, a three-dimensional visualization of Sarah's room, with human particles highlighted in glowing red. 3 weeks ago, I discovered something disturbing about our human friends. The alien portion of the audience leaned forward as Zixtal displayed their data. Gasps echoed through the hall as time-lapse footage showed humans unknowingly leaving trails of cellular matter wherever they went. As you can see, Zixtal continued, their voice chiming with emotion, humans are experiencing constant molecular degradation. Our team has documented this phenomenon across the entire campus population. They projected Blixter's atmospheric analysis, showing the concentration of human particles in various locations. The library alone contains approximately 2.7 million discarded human fragments. The cafeteria readings are even more concerning. The alien students in the audience began emitting distress signals in various frequencies. A crystalline professor's exterior clouded with worry. Even Kist's gaseous form swirled with agitation. Based on our calculations, Zixtal displayed the Syrian twins' probability matrices. The average human loses enough outer layer particles each day to. A sound interrupted their presentation. Laughter. It started with Sarah, then spread through the human members of the audience like a wave. Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with confusion as their carefully prepared presentation was met with increasing mirth. "Oh, Zixtal," Sarah managed between giggles, standing up. "Is this why you've been acting so worried lately? Why you keep scanning me when you think I'm not looking?" Professor Chen, the head of human biology, wiped tears of laughter from her eyes as she joined Sarah on stage. Perhaps we should have covered this in basic human physiology at the start of the term. But, the particles. Zixtal gestured at their meticulous data. Your outer layers are constantly breaking apart. Well, yes, Sarah smiled, reaching for the presentation controls. That's actually one of the most fascinating things about human biology. Here, let me show you something. She pulled up a microscopic view of human skin cells. The alien audience watched in stunned silence as she began explaining what was really happening to all those discarded particles and why it wasn't a crisis at all. Zixtal's crystalline form shifted through several colors of embarrassment as they realized their mistake. But as they looked at their fellow alien students' faces, they saw their own amazement reflected back. None of them had imagined that humans could be even more remarkable than they feared. The holographic display zoomed into a microscopic view of human skin cells, drawing gasps of wonder from the alien audience. Sarah stood confidently at the podium, her excitement evident as she began explaining what Zixtal and their research team had misunderstood so spectacularly. "What you're seeing isn't deterioration," she explained, highlighting a layer of cells. "This is evolution's gift to humanity, our ability to constantly renew ourselves. Every day, we shed approximately 40,000 skin cells, but we're not falling apart. We're regenerating." Zixtal's crystalline form shimmered with amazement as Sarah manipulated the display to show the process in real time. Beneath the dying outer layer, new cells were already forming, pushing upward in an endless cycle of renewal. Unlike many species here, who maintain a permanent exterior, Professor Chen added, gesturing to the diverse audience, humans evolved to constantly rebuild our outer barrier. This allows us to adapt to environmental changes, heal from injuries, and even protect ourselves from harmful microorganisms. The Syrian twins, Pel and Tel, synchronized their crystalline frequencies in astonishment. But our calculations showed massive particle loss. Pell exclaimed. "You weren't wrong about the numbers." Sarah grinned, pulling up their data. "But what you saw as destruction is actually one of our greatest strengths. Here, let me demonstrate something." She pulled a small medical scanner from her pocket and aimed it at her arm. The display showed her skin's cellular activity in stunning detail, old cells detaching, new ones rising to take their place, all in perfect coordination. "Every month," she continued, "humans essentially create a new outer layer. Think about what that means from an evolutionary standpoint." HFY's tentacles lit up with sudden understanding. "Your species can adapt to environmental changes within a single lifetime." "Exactly." Professor Chen beamed. "While other species evolved permanent protective layers, we developed something more dynamic. Our skin can thicken in response to physical stress, produce more pigment when exposed to solar radiation, and even change its microbiome based on our environment." Blixter's gelatinous form rippled with excitement. "The atmospheric variations I detected were probably higher after physical activity or environmental changes." Sarah completed the thought. "Our skin responds to everything we do, constantly optimizing itself for our survival." Zixtal moved closer to the display, their embarrassment about their mistake giving way to fascination. "But how do you maintain structural integrity during the replacement process?" "That's the clever part." Sarah highlighted a cross-section of skin layers. "We don't replace everything at once. It's a gradual process, with multiple layers of cells in different stages of their life cycle. The outer cells only detach when the ones beneath are ready to take over." The audience watched in rapt attention as she showed time-lapse footage of human skin healing from a small cut. The process looked like a microscopic construction project, with cells moving and multiplying to rebuild the damaged area. "What you discovered, Zixtal," Professor Chen said kindly, "wasn't a crisis. It was a testament to human resilience. Every particle you found represented our body's ability to renew itself." Kist swirled thoughtfully in their containment sphere. "Perhaps we should revise our definition of biological stability. Static permanence isn't the only path to durability." As the presentation concluded, the auditorium buzzed with excited discussion. Alien students crowded around Sarah, asking questions about various aspects of human cellular regeneration. The Syrian twins were already proposing new research projects based on the revelation. Zixtal stood quietly, processing this paradigm shift. They had thought they were documenting humanity's weakness, but instead, they had stumbled upon one of its most remarkable strengths. Their research hadn't gone as planned, but perhaps they had discovered something even more valuable, a new way of thinking about biological adaptation. The xenobiology lab hummed with renewed energy as Zixtal and Sarah worked side by side. Their research stations now merged into one collaborative space. 3 days had passed since the symposium, and what had started as an embarrassing misunderstanding had evolved into a groundbreaking research project. "Look at this pattern." Sarah pointed to a holographic display showing skin cell regeneration rates. "When we compare the data you collected across different environmental conditions, we can actually map how human skin adapts in real time." Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with excitement as they manipulated the three-dimensional model. "The variation in regeneration rates correlates perfectly with environmental stressors. Your species doesn't just replace cells. It optimizes the entire process based on external conditions." The news of their research had spread beyond Earth's academic circles. The Galactic Science Academy had taken particular interest in their findings, especially after HFY contributed their bioluminescent imaging techniques to track cellular energy patterns. The quantum probability matrices were right all along. Pell and Tell chimed in simultaneously, their crystalline antennae vibrating in harmony. They just needed different interpretation parameters. Humans aren't falling apart. They're quantum computing at a cellular level. Professor Chen entered the lab, followed by a holographic projection of Dr. Imrith, the leading xenobiologist from the Andromeda Galaxy. "Your latest paper draft is causing quite a stir in the scientific community," she announced, her eyes twinkling. Indeed, Dr. Imrith's hologram flickered with enthusiasm. Your analysis of human cellular adaptation mechanisms could revolutionize our approach to regenerative medicine across multiple species. Blixter's gelatinous form rippled with academic excitement as they displayed their atmospheric analysis. We've identified 37 distinct patterns in how human skin responds to environmental changes. Each response is precisely calibrated to the specific challenge encountered. Sarah pulled up another display, this one showing comparison data between different species' protective mechanisms. It's fascinating how evolution solved the same problem in different ways. Crystalline beings like Zixtal grow permanent, adaptable structures. Gelatinous forms like Blixtor alter their entire composition. But humans chose constant renewal. Zixtal completed the thought, their voice chiming with admiration. A perpetual cycle of rebirth at the cellular level. Kest drifted into the lab, their gaseous forms swirling with purpose. The Galactic Medical Council has requested a full presentation of your findings. They're particularly interested in applications for regenerative healing across species. The research team gathered around their central holotable, where a new simulation was running. It showed how human skin cell regeneration patterns could potentially be adapted to help other species heal faster or protect themselves more effectively. To think, Zixtal mused, adjusting the simulation parameters. If I hadn't been so worried about Sarah disintegrating, we might never have discovered this. Sarah laughed, playfully tossing a data crystal at them. Sometimes the best discoveries come from looking at something familiar in a completely new way, even if that way is slightly panic-inducing at first. The lab filled with the various sounds of alien amusement, crystalline chimes, gelatinous gurgles, and bioluminescent pulses. What had started as one concerned alien's misunderstanding of human biology had blossomed into a collaborative project that promised to advance medical science across the galaxy. We should prepare for the Medical Council presentation, Professor Chen suggested, but her proud smile softened the reminder. They'll want to see everything, from Zixtal's initial particle tracking to our latest regenerative applications. As the team began organizing their data, Zixtal caught their reflection in a nearby screen. Their crystalline form now housed a small collection of Sarah's shed skin cells, preserved in a special containment field, a reminder that sometimes the most remarkable discoveries come from the most innocent misunderstandings. Word spread through the International Xenobiology University like a quantum wave, transforming the campus into an impromptu human biology observation center. The outdoor courtyard had become the unofficial gathering spot where alien students assembled to watch and document various human biological processes with newfound appreciation. Look. Angxva's tentacles pulsed with excitement as they observed a human athlete jogging past. Their bioluminescent sensors tracked the increased cellular regeneration rate in real time. The adaptation response is instantaneous. Their skin is already optimizing for the increased activity. Zixtal adjusted their crystalline sensors, recording the data for their expanded research project. Around them, students from dozens of different species huddled in small research groups, each bringing their unique perspectives to the study of human biology. The quantum probability field around humans is fascinating, Pell commented, while Tell simultaneously tracked the mathematical patterns. Each shed skin cell carries traces of quantum information about environmental conditions. It's like a biological early warning system. Sarah sat cross-legged on a bench, surrounded by curious alien students, demonstrating various human biological processes. She held up her hand, showing a small paper cut that was healing. Watch closely, she invited, as Kest projected a magnified view of the healing process. The alien students leaned in, their various sensory organs focused intently on the microscopic drama unfolding before them. The repair sequence is already initialized, Blixter observed, their gelatinous form rippling with academic excitement. The neighboring cells are receiving signals to increase production rates. A gasp rippled through the crowd as Professor Chen arrived with something even more fascinating. A collection of time-lapse recordings showing human hair growth, nail formation, and other continuous renewal processes. Each of these represents a different type of cellular regeneration, she explained, as the images floated in the air. Humans don't just replace skin cells, we're constantly rebuilding multiple systems simultaneously. The Centaurian twins, known for their mathematical precision, calculated the total amount of cellular renewal occurring in an average human body each day. Their results caused their crystalline structures to vibrate with astonishment. But how do you manage so many parallel renewal processes without system conflicts? Asked a silicon-based student from Vega, their metallic appendages twitching with curiosity. Sarah grinned, pulling up a holographic display of the human nervous system. That's where it gets really interesting. Our bodies maintain billions of simultaneous processes, each coordinated through complex chemical and electrical signals. Zixtal found themselves recording not just the biological data, but the reactions of their fellow students. Each species brought their own unique insights. The energy beings from Antares analyzed the bioelectric fields, while the quantum phase entities from Sirius tracked probability corridors of cellular development. It's not just about regeneration, Professor Chen continued, projecting a new series of images. Watch what happens when human skin is exposed to sunlight, or when muscles respond to regular exercise. The entire system adapts and optimizes itself. The demonstration continued into the evening, with different human students volunteering to show various aspects of their biology. One demonstrated callus formation from playing a musical instrument. Another showed how their skin had tanned from outdoor activities. In my species, a crystalline student from Rigel Vioi commented, "We grow new layers that last for decades." But humans, they're like living starships, constantly repairing and upgrading their hull plating. Sarah caught Zixtal's eye across the courtyard and smiled. Their initial misunderstanding had sparked something remarkable, a wave of cross-species collaboration and understanding that was transforming xenobiology education. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, the alien students continued their observations, each one seeing something new in these remarkable beings who rebuilt themselves cell by cell, day by day, in an endless dance of renewal and adaptation. The last day of the academic term dawned bright and clear over the International Xenobiology University campus. Zixtal stood in their shared room, crystalline form refracting the morning sunlight as they carefully packed their research equipment. "I still can't believe how this all turned out," Sarah said, helping them organize their data crystals. From thinking humans were slowly disintegrating to revolutionizing cross-species regenerative medicine. Not bad for a first-year research project. The room's holographic display showed their latest achievement, acceptance of their joint paper by the Galactic Journal of Xenobiology. The title gleamed in multiple languages: Continuous Cellular Renewal, Lessons from Human Biological Adaptation Mechanisms. The Galactic Medical Council has already approved 3 pilot programs based on our research. Zixtal's voice chimed with pride. The application of human regeneration principles to crystalline healing protocols shows particular promise. A soft chime announced the arrival of their research team. Enx Va floated in, tentacles glowing with bittersweet colors, followed by Blixter and the Syrian twins. Even Kest had taken time from their busy schedule to join the gathering. The quantum adaptation matrices are complete. Pel and Tel announced in harmony, their crystalline forms resonating. We've mapped the entire spectrum of human cellular response patterns. Professor Chen arrived carrying a special package. Their research had been archived in the university's prestigious Xenological Hall of Discoveries. "Your work has opened up entirely new fields of study," she beamed. Next term's curriculum has been updated to include human regenerative processes as a core subject. Remember how scared we all were? Blixter's gelatinous form rippled with amusement. We thought we were witnessing the slow destruction of humanity, when really we were seeing one of their greatest strengths. The team gathered around the holodeable one last time, displaying their complete findings. The 3-dimensional model showed the intricate dance of human cellular renewal, skin cells regenerating, healing mechanisms activating, adaptation responses flowing like rivers of light through the projection. The most remarkable thing, Zixtal mused, isn't just the regeneration itself. It's how humans have evolved to be in constant flux, yet remain fundamentally stable. My species seeks permanence through our crystalline forms, but humans found strength in perpetual change. Sarah pulled up their original panic-filled sensor readings from the beginning of the term, causing everyone to laugh. The fear and concern in those early notes now seemed almost endearing. Sometimes the best discoveries come from looking at something familiar in a completely new way, Professor Chen said. You saw something none of us had thought to study before, precisely because you didn't know what you were looking at. HFY's tentacles created a dazzling light show as they displayed the latest data from the medical trials. 3 different species have already shown improved healing rates using protocols derived from human cellular patterns. The Crystalline Confederation is particularly interested in applications for crack repair. As the sun climbed higher, the team began their goodbyes. Summer research programs and homeworlds beckoned, but they all knew this wasn't really an ending. Their work had opened up new frontiers in xenobiology, promising years of fascinating studies ahead. Next term will be interesting. Sarah grinned, helping Zixtal pack the last of their equipment. Wait until you see how humans regrow liver tissue. Now that's really going to blow your mind. Zixtal's form shimmered with anticipation of new discoveries to come. On their desk sat a small sealed container, their first collected sample of Sarah's shed skin cells, carefully preserved as a reminder of how the most remarkable scientific discoveries could start with a simple misunderstanding. As they left the room together, headed for the graduation ceremony, Zixtal reflected that perhaps the greatest lesson wasn't about biology at all. It was about how different species coming together, sharing their unique perspectives, could transform a moment of concern into a breakthrough that would benefit all of galactic society.